Ed, welcome. Everyone, welcome to another Talent Talk with today it's me and Ed. Welcome.
Great to be here, Lewis. Always a pleasure to connect with you. What's in store for today? I was looking forward to the topic.
Well, this is a great one. This is a great one. This is so topical right now. Everyone I speak with is asking. Everywhere, everything you look online, people are talking about it, and obviously it's AI, right? 6 months ago, there's a lot of people, they put their hand on their heart. I've never heard of ChatGPT or OpenAI. Had no idea about all of this stuff, and very quickly, it's just in breakneck speed, hasn't it? It's just kind of infiltrated like almost everything we do. And so I think obviously we're in recruiting. We're helping companies find awesome folks. We're helping coach people to land great jobs. So let's talk about how AI is being used in recruiting. What are you seeing? Like when you kick us off?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's a great topic. When you start to dive into the world of AI, I think AI technology is going to have huge effects on society and business in general. I think it was Mark Cuban that said business leaders must understand and embrace AI. And if you're an entrepreneur or a business, in the business world, if you don't know AI, then you're the equivalent of someone or somebody in 1999 saying, "Yeah, I'm sure this internet thing's going to be cool," right? So the AI thing is definitely taking the world by storm. Some of the things that I've seen AI. If you follow the podcast and you follow our talent talks and our talent tips and our talent news, AI will absolutely have a tremendous impact on the way companies hire. Some of the things I've seen myself are things like reference checks, personality assessments that have an AI algorithm behind it, applicant tracking systems that have an AI component embedded in all applicant tracking systems, right? Where if you're a recruiter and you're searching for a specific profile, the AI behind it, when you come in the next morning, you'll have a list of people to reach out to. So, I mean, this is just scratching the surface. AI is basically, it's been all over the place. I think the first AI came out in the 1950s. Now in 2023, I don't think you have technology. Most technology has AI embedded in 100% in our field of recruiting, HR, talent management. We're about to step on an AI landmine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the train's left the station, I think, with a lot of these. But you're right, like with LinkedIn's a good example. Embedded in LinkedIn is various different predictive things that they use, whether it's recommending candidates to recruiters, recommending jobs for you. I mean, it's just, they've even got a great tool that recruiters can spam people more often using the little email drip campaigns and whatever. There's so many use cases for it. And also over the last few years, like people have talked about it a lot, some big companies use AI to do the pre-screening, right? Like looking for the keywords. And if your job application doesn't have the keywords, they'll screen you out. Then maybe second stage, you get to a human. You're right. I even trialed, there's a couple of companies, I forget their names, that were doing facial recognition software, but they would do it for interviews. So you do a video interview and it would analyze all of your expressions and it would provide a personality report based on your facial expressions and stuff. You've got a certain number of facial expressions, it links to different emotions and stuff. Fascinating stuff. So I think that's been happening for a while, right? What's been really interesting I've seen recently, and I've told you this story before, but how candidates are using it to apply for jobs, and so many folks now, I'd say probably less than the minority of folks still, but you get the job description, put it into ChatGPT, and you ask it to rewrite your CV. Then you'll ask it to write a bespoke cover letter, and then that will get you the interview. Then when you've got the interview, you put your job spec in, you ask it to predict which kind of questions they're likely to ask you based on the job description, and then you can ask it for the model answers. And then suddenly you've got, you're fully prepared and you're ready to go and nail the interview. And there's so many companies now that are doing that. Many like job CV resume builders, interview prep AI things. there's just a whole raft. I was like looking at a list the other day. I mean, it was like 30, 40, 50 companies that are like specializing in preparing people or writing resumes or writing cover sheets and things like that. So that is really interesting, and that is I think that feels fairly recent. You know, like I speak to, I mentioned this to many people, hiring managers, and like, what? Really? You know, how can I really? You know, how can I tell the difference? You know, so there's this thing of like, is that good? Like, is that should people be doing that? And I think like high five, right? Like you should be using everything you can to get ahead, right? And if you're not using it, come on, you know, it's like, oh, I'm never going to use Facebook. The internet's never going to work out, you know. So you've got to use what's coming. And it says something about your mindset. People talk about a growth mindset, talk about continually learning and develop. Now start using these things. And that's, you know, I think that's important. But for recruiting processes, like, love to hear your thoughts on this. All your CVs and cover sheets, let's say they're written by AI. What are we going to do? You know, how are we going to reinvent or change, or do we even need to? What do you think on that?
Well, I'll say this. There was a tool that we were utilizing, that we were assessing in my prior role for technical assessments, where you had software developers and coders would be sent, a link, and they would have to build out specific code, right? This is intriguing and this is interesting because I think AI can be used in the same way, if not already happening. So the coders would open up the link, start coding, go through the exercise, and all of a sudden, the system, when I would retrieve the report out of the system for the hiring manager, the system would tell me plagiarism, and it would identify what was copy and pasted. They had an algorithm, an AI, to identify what was being copied from Google. So in a sense, it's going to be AI checking AI, right? It's fascinating.
Really
It's a wacky world, but it is quite fascinating. And don't forget, right? AI can be biased, right?
Yeah.
You know,
trained on human data.
That's right. And that's where I think recruiting will always have the human element. A lot of recruiters will say, "Oh my goodness, AI is going to replace us." Not in the least. I mean, not in the most. I mean, this is not going to happen. It's not going to be. We have human resources. It's not going to be AI resources, right? You're not going to remove the human element from a role where you're dealing with people on a daily basis. Remember, AI uses data to make decisions and predictions. The data might contain unconscious bias. And if it does, then the AI system is going to make decisions that discriminate against certain groups or types of people. AI systems can use data that inherently that's flawed, and it causes bias and discrimination. I mean, we have to be really careful. This is why New York State, if you follow my talent news, where I did the New York State, you know, I highlighted the New York State law where, you know, it checks AI and how companies are using AI based in New York, and that's going to really set the standard and set the bar for many of the other states that are leveraging and companies that are leveraging AI. So it is very interesting. So I don't think that AI will replace recruiting. I think what it'll eventually do, it will speed up the work that we do. Our delivery time will move much faster. The way we go through data will happen much faster. But in terms of, you know, AI being how do we identify, to answer your question directly? I think AI needs to check AI. There'll be tools that will help us, you know, understand if a resume or a cover letters come in and it was written by AI, because I think the technology is already happening.
Well, I guess the other argument is, do we really need to? Does it matter? Like, does it matter if it's written by AI? Because I think we're going to have to assume that it will be, right? I mean, it's going to be, and actually, you know, it's fine if you use it. I think it's fine if you use AI or a tool, or you ask your friend to look over your work, or, you know, like I think it's fine. And I think I think a lot of it is just the it's also what you input into the AI and how you use it. And I think there'll be other things that one will be testing for. So your example of coding, I mean, if ChatGPT can write the code, maybe you're not testing their code writing skills. It's the ideas that go behind it. So I think all of these things are going to evolve. And I think right now we're talking about, oh no, it's written by AI. And for me, I think in the end, I think it's another tool that people are going to use to do things more efficiently and better. And I think if you're hiring, and certainly like when we're hiring for ourselves, I mean, actually a lot of the stuff that we're looking for, it's these human skills, right? It's your mindset, it's your view on these things. Like what is your view on this? Have a view, have an opinion, and I think people hire people. You're going to work, you want this human connection stuff, and that's the real difference, I think.
How do you feel about companies that are using like bots to do their screening in? Do you think that's going to be something that is going to catch on, or I don't love it?
So I think if you have 1,000 applications for a job, I mean, how long is that going to take? I mean, to look through an application, what, like, I don't know, 5 minutes? Probably that's generous, right? I don't know how long, a minute to, I mean, it's impossible. If you're hiring, I don't know, let's say you're doing seasonal workers or factory workers or blue collar workers or something that is volume based, and you've got thousands to go through, a human can't do it. So you're going to have to use some kind of tools to help you. And that will be some kind of AI screening tool that will look for the keywords in the application or the CV or whatever you've asked them to apply with. And then you've got to filter it down. I don't think there's any way of getting out of it, because I think with AI, the really great thing with AI is it's making us do our jobs more efficiently. If we think about our work, the high value stuff for us is speaking with candidates and speaking with clients, and
Right.
advising and managing these processes and stuff, and the human contact, right? A lot of the mundane stuff, I don't know, like writing a CV, writing a cover sheet, all of these kind of things that can be automated or AI can do way better, we'll do it, and that will be the same for every other job. I'm fine with it. I think it's just got to be done well, and you got to assume also that every company wants to hire the best available talent, and they want to do it in a fair way. So I think part of it is who's designing it and what are you looking for and what are you screening for, and there's got to be some thought around that.
I mean, I've heard some things around AI will replace, to your point, well, we'll finally have another replacement for the resume. Because when you look at resumes, the process of resumes has not been updated since the 1900s. People still put their experience on a Word document, better yet, a LinkedIn profile. And but that process of that documentation, and I'm curious how AI is going to really have an impact. And I think it can. I've even heard of some companies that are using AI on the front end. The con to that is that AI in the front end, meaning they were using their bots to screen in candidates. What I've read is that humans are figuring out that if you have specific responses, you're able to circumvent the bot and get to the human. So I find it pretty funny, actually, where the AI is supposed to be screening out the candidates, the humans are now figuring out ways to beat the bots. So it's really quite fascinating.
What I think was really interesting actually is that, so you talk about resumes. Is a resume dead, essentially? And I think you see many that feel it might be, because you actually you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a human. So they can write what you can, So there's this old school resume, this way of doing it. I think actually all of it comes down to storytelling, right? You want to get certain stories across. You want to get your skills across. You want to get your career history across. So whether you do it as a resume, whether you do it on LinkedIn, but I think it's much more. It's going digital now. Yeah, I think it's showcasing your stuff on LinkedIn, content, things like that. I think the resume is going to slowly start to peter out, potentially.
Yeah. Do you think that AI, like the way I envision it, is now you have a video portfolio. I mean, the world has gone digital. And because the world has gone digital, you as a candidate presenting yourself to an organization now have, an online digital portfolio that showcases your experience. You may drive out some content about some of the work that you've done, delivered, and you can use AI to polish some of that content. As the world matures with AI, from a candidate perspective, the sophistication will increase. And even on the business side, the sophistication will continue to increase. And no longer will we be asking for, hey, send me your resume. It'll be, hey, where's your digital signature, where's your digital portfolio? Or it's taking it like what the creatives have been doing for years, right? Or what coders have been doing for years. They have specific folders on a specific site where you as a hiring manager can look at specific code. Well, it'll be the same thing in terms of experience. And I think as more digital starts to hit the market and be embraced in that way, I think as a candidate, you need to be prepared to have, pieces, white papers, video segments of who you are as a candidate and what your experience is like. And then you're able to just send that over to the organization.
Yeah, for sure. For certain roles, you're right. What's interesting, we're hiring for doing a big VP search at the moment, and interestingly, the hiring manager, when we discuss candidates and stuff, this guy he's not saying, hey, send me the resume. It's like, Lewis, what are their key skills? What's their track record? What is their leadership skills like? He's asking me pertinent questions about stuff that is probably going to be, for him anyway, important for success, right? He's not saying, oh, give me the career history. It's actually, it's pulling out and I think forward thinking line managers, hiring managers, whatever, if you sit down and you just think, well, what does success look like? What do we really need from this person? What are the key skills? Then you can go and start testing and assessing for them. A lot of the time with resumes, you hear all the time, right? Because recruiting's so subjective. You send a resume, oh, they've jumped around a bit. Well, what does jumped around mean? Someone, it means they've moved every 2 years, or someone's jumped every 3 years, or what does a good resume look like? What does a job hopper look like? A lot of these things are like, what's a good fit? I think a lot of these subjective things need to be defined better in an interview process. Make sure your resume is no spelling mistakes, impeccable grammar, laid out beautifully, because there's no excuse. So I would just say that on the resume. And I think it's still around for a while, right? One thing I'm very like the cover letter. I think that's a thing of a bygone era. I mean, I'm really sorry, but who's reading it? Like, people barely read the resume, right? Skim through, 30 seconds someone will read the resume for, right? I would say max. The cover letter, I can't see people reading the cover letter anymore. Sorry.
No, it's like putting an objective on your resume. I think those things are maybe necessary for a more junior candidate, someone that's maybe, trying to break into a specific industry. It's proper to have maybe a cover letter if you're getting your first role or your second role with a company. But I think once you pass that 5-year mark, or you get a certain amount of experience under your belt, I think the cover letter ends up being a tool that you don't need to use, especially at the senior level. It's just, people with the tools that are out there, and with the devices that are being used, and how organizations are screening in candidates, especially for the more senior roles, you're probably going to have a video chat or a video interview with a bot, and where AI is going to have an impact on that. And frankly, I think we're going to have, as professionals, we're going to have to practice. I'm quoting an old basketball player, a basketball player, Allen Iverson. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
And he used to say practice. What are you talking about practice? Well, with the AI piece, you will have to practice.
Well, can I play devil's advocate? I'm gonna take the other side of it, because actually we're hiring humans there at the moment, right? And people like to work with people. People follow people, right? We want the human contact. Like we talk about culture, I talk a lot about the works the work and who you do it with really matters. And we want to be part of something, not just a participant, things like that. And so I think, this war for talent where, if you've gone for an interview process and you're like, you call your friend up and your friend's like, oh, how was it? Oh, I applied for a system. The AI selected me. The AI then interviewed me. Okay, cool. So you've invested 4 or 5 hours of your life and you've not even met a human yet. How was the other interview? Oh man, it's great. Like the CEO made me for a coffee. I met a human. I think that's actually a competitive advantage right there. It's like you're going to work with like humans, and I think if your interview process is more human, like it feels like a good experience, I think you're probably more likely to get people to join. It's obvious it's AI, it's not personal, it's not bespoke, you're not feeling cared about and whatever. I can just see people just withdrawing from those. I would say that's my other end of this other side of the conversation.
I don't disagree with you. Recruiting, talent acquisition, human resources, it's driven by the human element. Absolutely. And where AI can help will be in those areas where it's repetitive. But I caution, a big disclaimer, when all recruiters search differently, the way I use tools, the way 5 other recruiters may use tools, completely different. That is why we all find different people, right? So if the AI, let's look at this. If the AI is looking at certain characteristics and certain parameters, where's the creativity? Where's the innovation? Where's the outside the box thinking? That's why I know recruiting is in a safe spot, because there are no 2 recruiters that work the same, right? That's what differentiates okay recruiters to incredible recruiters. Why do you have recruiters that consistently year over year outperform other recruiters? Because they work differently, they think differently, they innovate. So if you have a repetitive AI process that's looking at the same characteristics, now if I were the AI expert, they would say, well, they're going to learn. Like, yeah, but who are they learning from, right? I mean, how are they learning to be creative and innovative and outside the box?
Well, look, I think AI is incredible now, and it's only going to get better. So I think it's going to get better. I agree. I think really, like with roles where you can advertise, you get a lot of applications. Maybe it's seasonal workers, contractors, contingent workers, and whatever. I think there's a lot of value for automating a lot of that stuff, right? There's just high volume recruiting. It's just so many folks. I think what we do, right? We're doing exec recruiting. We're doing senior leadership roles where these people are employed and very happy. They're not applying for a job. They're not going to be submitting their 5 questions for your AI to assess and stuff, right? They want to be tapped on the shoulder by a great recruiter and whatever, right? Just they want to be tapped on the shoulder. And then for us, our value is really engaging these folks, right? Storytelling, telling the story of the firm, understanding their story, and trying to find the right person for the right job and things like that. And that's something that that's human-like. Like you're interacting with a human, and that's always going to be there. And I think for me, AI, we use it for everything. Like it's in everything, but there's this human element that's always, I think, going to be around. Yeah, I think I think you got to use AI tech. I'm like all for it. Use everything available to you to make you do your job more efficiently, to give a better service, better outcomes, and you're on a good spot. That's how I think of these things now.
Yeah, and I've heard of something. Someone, I had read an article, and I knew we were going to talk about this topic, and I was looking for this article. There's something new coming out around conversational AI, where a chatbot now can have a conversation. I find that you start to ask ethical questions, because where's the data coming from? And it's
no, you're right. I was renewing my car insurance, and it sent me. I pressed a button. It sent me through to WhatsApp for the AI bot to discuss my renewal with me. And I think with that, and I think in the UK, I don't know if this is law or not, but I think this should be best practice. If it's not, it should let you know you're speaking to our AI bot. I think that's an important thing to mention to people, because they're incredible. You can have a conversation with an AI chatbot, and you've got no idea it's not a human. No idea.
I think having quality conversations is important. I think having quality conversations is extremely critical and important.
Yeah.
In the hiring process.
Yeah.
You need to be engaged. You need to have, you need to feel that positive engagement. You need to feel that potential that a candidate brings to the table. And I feel like it's unnatural when you use an AI bot on the front end, right?
Yeah.
You can't get that candidate sentiment, right? Personally, you can't get a feel for personality. You can't get a feel on what their ethics are, what their morals are. I argue towards the recruiter. The recruiter will become more advanced in speed and knowledge and data, but the recruiter now will be assessed for their innovation and creativity on how they leverage tools. And that's my response to recruiters that say, oh, no, AI's here. They're going to take jobs. No, your creativity, your innovation, the way you have outside the box thinking, the way you leverage the data, it's the way you leverage AI that's going to increase your deliverable. You're looking at it from a completely different perspective. You need to should be it like this.
Yeah. And if you talk about recruiters, I think you've really got to be a real strategic advisor now. Like you've got to make yourself valuable, right? Like with your insights, with your knowledge, with your ability to engage with people, storytell. Like I think recruiters are great generalists, right? We need to know a little bit about everything, right? To have a nice conversation with people about. It could be you speaking with a tech digital person. It could be me speaking with a CFO or a CEO or a sales director. We don't have to know like technical accounting details. We just need to know a lot of broad stuff. And so for recruiters to stay relevant, you need to be curious. You need to be up to date with everything that's going on in the market. You need to be able to have a conversation with anyone about anything, right? And you need to be engaging, and you need to be able to ask good questions and listen. And they're the things that are really valuable. If you're just another commoditized, poor recruiter that's sticking an advert out, that's adding no value, they're the positions that can be, that will go. And you've got to keep on evolving. Like make yourself valuable, be that expert, that trusted advisor, the person that these senior leaders are going to call. Like, oh my God, I've got a problem. I need to find someone. Ed, what do I need to do? What's going on? That's the position you need to put yourself in.
Yeah. No, agreed. I mean, I think to kind of bring this home, I think AI presents an opportunity for HR and talent acquisition to modernize the interview strategy. When I say modernize, you're going to increase the efficiency. You're going to increase the speed. You're going to increase the way that recruiters and HR professionals work. I don't think we're there yet in terms of AI, stepping into the role of talent acquisition or recruiter. I think what it does do, it builds us a better automobile, right? So when automobiles first came out, right, everybody has this picture when Ford made the first car, and it was these little buggies. Well, it maybe went 30 miles per hour, and cars got faster and faster and faster, and now they do such wonderful things. Imagine buying a vehicle today and compare it to what it was then. Well, you could kind of look at AI in the same way, right? It's still at its infancy. We're years away from, anything in AI replacing the human element. I that's my perspective. I could be wrong, right? I could come across a great AI tool that all of a sudden makes me change my mind because there's so many coming out, right? I feel like there's a new AI tool coming out on a weekly basis. But it's not, I haven't seen it yet. And we are advisors, we're strategic, we're innovative, we're creative. And it's those attributes that I feel cannot be duplicated. Again, not being someone that creates the AI algorithm, maybe a scientist might say something very different. Might say, hey, we're going to copy human behavior because we're going to look at 50 different patterns and we're going to record the data from 50 different patterns, all types of behaviors. Okay, I haven't seen it yet, but it could happen. In the end, I think organizations and why we do so well is that we have an opportunity to find the right candidate, right? And we do that through conversations. We do that through the human element. I see AI as my Iron Man suit. I'm quite excited about it. Of course, there are cons to it. There are pros, different perspectives, but it's here to stay, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I'm all in. I'm all in on it. My final remark on it is, is quadruple down on your human skills. Like as a competitive advantage. Like really, if you're going to focus on anything this next year or so, I think to get ahead in work, to get the promotion, things like that, go hard on your human skills. Because I think that's always been a difference that makes a difference, and I think now it's going to hold true now even more. Ed, great chat. We've got a million other podcasts.
Always a pleasure.
Love it. Thank you everyone for joining.
No, thank you. I mean, Lewis, it's always a pleasure when I can get time with you. This chat is actually not over. This is to be continued.
It is to be continued.
Yeah, but an absolute great chat. And the world of artificial intelligence is here to stay, and it's only going to get better. But thank you, Lewis, for inviting me.
No, it is. No, pleasure. And if anyone has anything they want, drop a DM Ed or I. We'll be happy to answer any questions, or if you want us to chat about anything, feel free to message us, and we can dive on a podcast. So have a good one, everyone.
Have a great one.